This week on TechRap, Android on your smartphone, tablet, smartwatch, TV, and car. We round up all the announcements at Google I/O 2014. And we review the LG G3. We call its successor the best all-around smartphone. Can this phone live up to its lineage? Hi, I'm Michael Josh, and this is TechRap, your weekly source for tech news, gadget reviews, app recommendations, and social media tips. Google's annual developer conference, Google I/O, takes place in San Francisco this week. During the 3-hour keynote on Wednesday, the tech giant unveiled the next version of Android, codenamed Android L. Following its naming convention based on the alphabet and favorite sweet treats, Android L follows other releases, including J for Jelly Bean and K for Kit Kat. So what's the next version of Android going to be like? It's not just going to be about what, but where. Android L is coming to living rooms and vehicles. Android Auto is Google's effort at taking over the software that manages dashboard systems on cars. Android Auto will bring Google Now-based voice commands to cars, provide navigational directions from Google Maps, and give you access to a whole range of Android apps like Spotify. Cars from Audi, Bentley, Chevrolet, Chrysler, and Dodge will all come with Android Auto when Android L is released later this year. Android TV will work with new televisions and third-party set-top boxes. You'll be able to send content from your Android device to your TV or access apps and movies from the Google Play Store. Games should follow very soon. The entire 2014 4K TV lineup from Sony and Sharp will run on Android TV. Both innovations are technically not new. Last March, Apple announced CarPlay, bringing Siri to car dashboards. Its iTunes Store-powered set-top box Apple TV has been around for quite some time now. But at I/O, it was Google taking a jab at Apple. At one point, Android chief Sundar Pichai was quick to point out that custom keyboards and widgets, which Apple is bringing to iOS 8, have been around for 4 to 5 years on Android. Back to smartphones, Google, rethinking how the next version of Android will look and feel, is introducing a technology called material design. The look is clean and fresh and breathable with lots of white space. While still flat, new animations give the new OS a sense of depth. This look will carry over to its other products, including Chrome. Speaking of Chrome, Chrome tabs and recent apps are now lumped together on a series of cards that's very much reminiscent of the floating tabs on iOS. The new interface will replace Google's app switching interface. Project Volta is Google's push to conserve much-needed battery life. Google hopes to squeeze as much as 9 extra hours out of your device. Google is also adding a remote kill switch to remotely wipe data from stolen devices. There were other notable announcements worth mentioning. Google Drive for business users is a $10 per person per month service for businesses that provides unlimited storage and a more secure environment. Google Drive gets native Microsoft Office support. Google Fit is a platform for integrating health information from wearables into one place, similar to Apple's Health Kit, which it announced at WWDC. Android apps will soon be able to work on Chromebooks. One of the most important announcements was Android One. Google says Android now has 1 billion active users, and it hopes to reach out to the next billion in developing regions. The low-cost Android phone program hopes to sell its first sub-$100 phone in India later this year. Of course, we saved the best news for last. Devices sporting new wearable OS Android Wear are now shipping. 2 Square smartwatches are already shipping in countries that sell devices via Google Play. LG's G Watch retails for $229 on Google Play, while the just-announced Samsung Gear Live retails for $199.99. Motorola Circle smartwatch, probably the most anticipated of the bunch, the Moto 360, will be available later this summer. While they are standalone devices, smartwatches running Android Wear are meant to be a companion device also, allowing you to speak commands or dictate voice notes, for example, and having them appear on your phone. Google says the devices are about glancing at information. The average Android user looks at his phone 125 times a day. With an Android Wear device, users can steal quick glances to focus and interact more with the world around them. 5 months after releasing the Android-powered Nokia X, Microsoft unveils its successor. Announced Tuesday, the Nokia X2 features a slightly redesigned outside shell and improvements in specs and user interface. The X2 is slightly bigger at 4.3 inches and now has a much-needed 5-megapixel camera with autofocus. The camera, if you can remember, on the original Nokia X had only fixed focus and was virtually unusable. It also has a slightly faster processor, more RAM, and a better battery. Microsoft says the Nokia X2 will be available initially as a dual SIM device and will begin rolling out globally in July 2014 for €99 or about $134. Microsoft takes on Apple's iCloud, updating its OneDrive cloud storage service this week, giving users more space for less. Basic free storage is up from 7 gigabytes to 15 gigabytes. Additional storage is now much cheaper, $199 per month for 100 gigabytes. That was previously $749, and $399 per month for 200 gigabytes, previously $1149. Office 365 users also get 1 terabyte of extra storage. While these updates will take effect next month, existing OneDrive subscribers automatically get lowered prices for succeeding months. We're happy to announce that Rappler is bringing its standalone app to Windows 8. We've designed the new app with touch-enabled computers and tablets in mind. You can swipe left or right through stories, tap to vote on our mood meter, and you'll get the latest headlines via a live tile on the start screen. Rappler for Windows 8 supports Windows 8.1 and up, and is now available as a free download from the Windows Store. Xiaomi held its first flash sale in the Philippines this week, offering up to 3,000 Mi 3 smartphones via online partner lazada.com.ph. The phone sold out in just under 3 hours, nowhere near the record of just minutes set in Malaysia and China, but a respectable start. For our Mi 3 review, you can click on this link above. LG's newest flagship smartphone, the G3, has big shoes to fill. We named its predecessor, the G2, the best all-around smartphone of 2013. But it's 2014 and the expectations are higher. Plastic phones are frowned upon, and that's why we're so excited when it released its preview video that showed what we thought would be an aluminum smartphone. Unfortunately, that's not the case. This is the LG G3, and if from afar it does look like an aluminum phone, this is actually a plastic phone. A bit of a disappointment if you ask me. We had at least hoped that LG would have put the self-healing back plate that it did on the G Flex. But that said, it still is an improvement over the G2. The back isn't as prone to fingerprints, and at least from afar, it still does look like a premium device. One thing it has over the S5 is its curved back, which hugs the palm of your hand. The first thing that pops out to you when you look at the G3 is its stunning 5.5-inch display. At 5.5 inches, that's technically a phablet, but LG actually has another phablet, which is even bigger. But if you think about it, the original phablet, the Samsung Galaxy Note, was not even 5.5 inches. That said, LG has been able to reduce the size of its bezels, and because of the way the phone curves and is tapered on its edges, it doesn't feel as big as it actually is. Speaking of the display, that is the G3's headline feature. It is not the first, but definitely one of the first from a major brand to sport a QHD display. That's better than Full HD. It's a brilliant display, and LG claims it has enough pixels for the eyes to see. But if you ask me, unless you compare it side by side with another device, the increase in resolution is not noticeable. Colors are accurate, not oversaturated, viewing angles are good, not the best, and you'll need 2K content though to maximize the display. Some games like Candy Crush are not even optimized for it and won't even install on the device, a price you have to pay for being ahead of the curve. With the G3, LG says simple is the new smart, and their new interface reflects this. It looks very much like an adulterated version of Android, stock Android if you will. As you can see here, the icons do look flat, and they've removed a lot of the clutter that we've seen on previous versions of Android's UI. But it is smart. As you can see over here, they have something called Smart Notice. This card over here is It says rain is expected in the evening, so you may want to take an umbrella. It takes note of the weather. It also gives you cards based on what it monitors that's happening, actions that you take. For example, it says, I received a call from Jessica Lazaro and I declined the call at 7:07 yesterday. It suggests that if I want to call back or send a message, until I swipe that card away, that will remain here as well to remind me. If you swipe to the right from the home screen, it will bring up something in the place of Google Now, where Google Now is on the Nexus 5, with two cards. One is for LG Health and the other is Smart Tips. Now LG Health is their version of S Health on Samsung's line of devices that tracks a lot of your fitness information, including the number of steps that you take and how much calories you burn, it actually does a great job in doing that. I'm not really so sure about this bit because it does take up a lot of space and you don't really need it. Once it basically gives you a link to all the new features like Quick Circle, Smart Keyboard, and Gesture Shot, and it actually can click there and just take a look at all the different features. If you click on it, it will load a video, a YouTube video explaining the new feature. Our connectivity isn't too great here, but there you go. But eventually though, my only problem with that is it's great for beginners, but it's always there. So after I've learned all the features, this bit of space here is already unnecessary. LG talks about simplicity, and the best example of that is the camera app. As you can see, when we load up the app, there are no controls. Everything is hidden except for that back button over there, and you can just go ahead, it'll focus automatically, and if you touch, it will take a photo. Of course, you can tap on this menu item over here to bring up the controls that we're used to, but even here, you'll see very basic controls similar to what's available on Android 4.4 KitKat. You have a dedicated button for the camera and for the video modes, and you have the flash controls, the camera controls, whether it's the back camera or the front-facing camera. And then in terms of modes, there are only a few modes actually. You have auto, magic focus, which is gives you a sense of depth. I'll talk about that later. You have panorama mode, and then you have the dual shot mode, which basically gives you both cameras operating at the same time. So let's go ahead and turn that on and go back to auto. So let's dive into the settings and see what's available over here. You have HDR mode, which basically determines if the photo needs HDR, and it will only use it accordingly. In terms of sizes, for photos you have a maximum resolution of 13 megapixels. This phone comes with a 13 megapixel camera. And for video, that's 4K. It can shoot 4K video or ultra high definition content. Over here is the voice controls, and if we turn that on, you can see, you can say cheese, smile, whiskey, kimchi, or LG, whiskey, kimchi. There. And then the last mode over here is the timer mode, which you can set to 3 seconds and 10 seconds. And last you have the grid. You can turn the grid on and off. Like the G2, the G3 sports a 13 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization built in. Not a lot of phones have OIS, so that's a point worth noting, and it's good for taking shots, especially if you have shaky hands or you're shooting in low light. This is a dual LED flash, and opposite that is a laser, which assists in taking photos, and it's one of the first or only smartphones to have laser autofocus, and you can see autofocus is indeed quick and snappy. Okay, so to wrap it all up, let's talk about pros and cons. Let's begin with the pros. First, specs. After the first half of 2014, no other smartphone has a spec sheet comparable to the G3 that has a 2.5 gigahertz Snapdragon 801 processor, 3 gigabytes of RAM, a QHD display, and a 3000 milliamp hour battery. Second, camera. While its camera at 13 megapixels remains unchanged, that's really all you need on a camera on a smartphone. Second, it has OIS, which is optical image stabilization, not digital stabilization. That's a feature that you should look for on any camera, on any smartphone today. And because of that, it has great photos, but it's added one more thing, laser autofocus, which means focusing on your camera is fast, and the images as a result are better than most. And last but not the least is knock code. While initially it does feel like a gimmicky feature, It's really great to be able to turn on your display with a couple of taps. It's even greater to be able to unlock your phone. Now let's move over to cons. First, this phone, depending on whether you get the 16 or 32 gigabyte model, will range from 31 to 35,000 pesos. If you're willing to pay that much on a smartphone, you're going to compare it to the other smartphones that are available in that price point. Having said that, the Galaxy S5, for example, is both dust and waterproof and has a fingerprint scanner. None of those features are available on this phone. So price and vis-a-vis the features is one con. Second is its UI. While simple is the new smart, and we do believe that that's a step in the right direction, we don't really like the user interface that much. It could be improved. And last but not the least is design. There's a big disconnect between how it looks and how it feels. It looks great, and you would think in your mind that it would feel like an amazing premium smartphone, which it doesn't. We hope that is changed in the next iteration of this smartphone. So, should you get the G3? If you're willing to pay the price for this smartphone and you're looking for a phone with a great, brilliant display and a great camera, go ahead and get it. But if you're considering your other options, the S5, for example, has a great camera too, and it does feel better, although it doesn't look better, and of course it has the fingerprint scanner. So that's another option. You might also want to look into the Xperia Z2 from Sony and the HTC One M8, which is the most beautiful phone of the bunch. And that was TechRap. For the latest tech news, visit Rappler.com/technology, follow Rappler on social media, join our conversation online, and send us emails. All the details are below. And that's all for this week, folks. I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.